Welcome, everyone. My name is Southern Belle 74, and this is When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong. In this live stream, we're going to discuss the high cost of fame and beauty and what happens when you decide to go a cheaper route to go overseas to get plastic surgery. Sometimes the outcomes can be good, but there are also cases where they can become bad and even tragic. I'm going to put up the disclaimer and then we're going to get into the very first story.
It's a heartbreaking time for the family of a woman who died, and they want to warn others. The plastic surgeon didn't have a license, and as Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes tells us, he operated on a third woman that same day who still has not recovered.
Kiana Weaver was told it would be a simple 4-hour procedure, a tummy tuck and some other cosmetic work. She and a close friend both signed up and headed down to Tijuana to the Art Silhouette Aesthetic Surgery Clinic. But her friend ended up hospitalized for 2 weeks, and Kiana died on the operating table.
I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Dalisha Smith was with Kiana that January day. She's engaged to Kiana's brother, Keyshawn Robbins, and had to break the news to him and to Kiana's mother, Yolanda Weaver.
This just destroyed our family.
Weaver says she wants to warn people about the Tijuana clinic, saying the doctor who worked on her daughter is not a licensed plastic surgeon. And according to the San Diego Union Tribune, a third woman also fell seriously ill that day after plastic surgery at the clinic. She's now suffering from kidney failure. Eyewitness News was unable to reach Dr. Jesus Manuel Baez Lopez. His voicemail was full and our email was not answered. The clinic's website today offline. But its Instagram account is still active. Weaver says the clinic never pronounced Kiana dead and never reported her death to the U.S. Embassy.
They just discarded my daughter like she was a piece of trash. No one still has called me to say, I'm sorry.
Weaver says an autopsy determined Kiana died from a heart attack and blood clotting issues. Kiana's 2 children now left with no mother, and her baby brother robbed of his best friend.
I'm lost. I tell my mom every day, Mom, I'm lost. What do you mean? I just don't know what to do no more.
But Weaver is on a mission. She wants to get her daughter's story out there so other people know the dangers of discount plastic surgery outside the U.S. and the ultimate price you may end up paying.
Don't do it because it's not worth it. All I can say is I'm going to keep fighting. I have to be her voice, and I want her voice heard.
It's truly a sad story. Our next one concerns a 45-year-old school teacher that decided to get cosmetic surgery overseas, and her sister tried to persuade her not to go overseas, but she still went anyway, and she ended up passing away.
Alicia Williams is a 9th grade English teacher.
Alicia went to the Dominican Republic, a healthy person.
Family members of Williams says she went to the Dominican Republic for medical procedures but passed away days later.
And she came back in a casket. My sister Alicia was absolutely set on having this Brazilian butt lift. You could not change her mind. She wanted to go to the Dominican Republic to get this surgery because it was cheaper and the doctors would do as many surgeries as you wanted at one time. She had been planning this for the last 2 years. She made this book called New Body Under Construction. She had the surgery fees and the after procedures to-do list. I tried to convince her to have this surgery done in the United States because it would probably have been much safer. 2 months ago, Alicia flew to the Dominican Republic. Not only was she going to get a Brazilian butt lift, she was going to have a tummy tuck, she was going to have lipo to the arms and back, and she was going to have hips put in. A few days later, the nurse texted me. They were going to take her to the hospital to have a blood transfusion. I was thinking, what is really going on over there? The next morning, I was up getting ready for work, and I noticed that I had missed a few phone calls from the nurse. I called her back, and that's when she told me the devastating news that my sister had passed.
Well, please welcome Alicia's sister, Stacy. So sorry for your loss. I just can't even imagine. You just don't expect that this is going to happen. And you said your sister did tons of research before this procedure, right? This is the notebook that you have?
Yes, she did a lot of research. For about 2 years, she was excited, and she had put in her notebook that she'll be home sweet home in 14 days. Yeah.
You aren't a big fan of this decision.
I wasn't a big fan of her going to the Dominican Republic to get the surgery, but I wasn't opposed to her having the surgery.
Why do you think going out of the country is so dangerous?
I think it was dangerous because, first of all, my sister couldn't speak the language, so she had to communicate through a translator.
Was it cheaper?
I think she spent between $5,000 and $6,000 versus in the United States for all the things that she had done and wanted done, it would have been about $15,000 to $20,000.
Going to a foreign country, they have different medical rules.
Correct.
Than they have here. They allow too many procedures at one time.
Yes.
In a medical, because they know it's a destination. You're coming there to get it all done, so they want to all do it in one trip. And I think this language barrier would be huge, because if you're asking questions or having symptoms, explaining it would be very scary. How did you find out that she had passed?
I got the phone call, and she said, "Stacy, I'm sorry to tell you that your sister didn't make it."
Yeah, and I guess people don't know, but the mortality rate with this procedure is 10 to 20 times greater than the average aesthetic surgical procedure performed by accredited physicians. And as many as 1 in 3,000 die, which is huge.
Definitely.
Now, despite all of these cautionary tales, the Brazilian butt lift is in high demand. Now, we're going to meet a woman who is planning her surgery as we speak and has every intention of moving forward with it.
Okay, guys, let's get into our next story.
Tonight, a Thornton family is asking why their teenage daughter went into surgery for breast implants and came out in a coma.
Emmeline Wynn fought for her life for more than a year but couldn't hold on any longer, and she died last week.
And now her family's suing for wrongful death. And they tell Denver 7's Addie Guajardo medical staff failed their daughter and their family.
Emmeline Nguyen walked into Colorado aesthetic plastic surgery in Greenwood Village last summer, ready for an image change.
She was so excited.
After months of saving for a breast augmentation.
Just preparing herself for her new image.
Her mom, Lynn Pham, assured her daughter she'd be fine, but the minutes and hours ticked by.
So the doctor was just trying to tell me that Emmeline is fine, she's healthy.
But she wasn't. Nguyen ended up in a coma, and after being rushed to the hospital, doctors say she suffered a severe brain injury. The family attorney,
"This should never happen."
David Woodruff, says Emmeline was left unattended for 15 minutes after a nurse anesthetist administered anesthesia.
She was found by a different nurse in cardiac arrest.
Emmeline was resuscitated, but Woodruff says it was more than 5 hours before Dr. Jeffrey Kim, Emmeline's plastic surgeon, called 911.
She wasn't there anymore.
Emmeline became incapacitated and spent 14 months in a rehab hospital.
And I was like, Mommy's here, I'm here. Everything's gonna be okay.
On October 4th, Emmeline's body gave out.
I was like, Emmeline, it's okay. You are the strongest person we know. It's okay to let go. We love you so much.
Her mom says Emmeline had pneumonia. Last December, the family filed a lawsuit against Dr. Kim and Rex Meeker, the registered nurse that administered the anesthesia. The lawsuit accuses them of negligence.
You just don't see mistakes like this that are this egregious. Not in 20 years of practicing have I seen this.
The lawsuit has now been changed to a wrongful death suit.
Like, I pretty much lost, my daughter is not just my daughter, my best friend.
More than a year has passed since the surgery. Dr. Kim moved offices, yet Emmeline's family is still searching for answers.
We want the truth,
and we want justice.
Justice for the vivacious, funny, and smart 19-year-old daughter.
Can't hear her voice anymore.
And big sister they lost.
I don't think as parents you're ever ready to let your child go. So it still hurts us every single day.
Now, I did reach out to Dr. Kim and Nurse Meeker for comment. I have yet to hear back. Earlier this year, Dr. Kim was placed on probation by the medical board for 3 years. Nurse Meeker has voluntarily surrendered his license to administer anesthesia. The attorney tells me that this is the second wrongful death suit Meeker is facing. Reporting live in Denver, Addie Guajardo, Denver 7.
What a tragedy. Thank you.
New at 6, take a look at this. This is a woman who went to Mexico for a gastric bypass surgery, and she still hasn't woken up. Angie Stidham's ex-husband contacted 10 News and told us that doctors have told him she may never recover. 10 News reporter Ashley DiMartino has the warning her family has about the dangers of going across the border.
48-year-old Angie Stidham was a wife, a mother, and a grandmother.
Right now, she's fighting for her life.
She wanted gastric bypass surgery to help control her high blood pressure.
She wanted to be healthy. She wanted a tool to help her to lose the weight.
With no health insurance, Stidham searched the internet for an inexpensive doctor. She found the Green and Health Hospital in Tijuana. Her ex-husband didn't feel right about it from the get-go.
She wired half the money over there, and then they told her just to be on a liquid diet for 72 hours, then go over there and have the surgery.
My daughter said the room for the surgery was no bigger than a closet.
Lakeisha Sexton's daughter, Alexis, went with Stidham to Mexico. Sexton got a call from her daughter that afternoon.
She was just like, Mom, I don't know what to do. Angie's not here. I'm like, what do you mean Angie's not here? They told her that Angie had died.
But that wasn't the truth. According to the note of transfer obtained by 10 News, Stidham was given cyclosporin, an antibiotic not used in the U.S. that is similar to penicillin. Stidham had a severe allergic reaction.
If they found her on the floor, not breathing, and they did a tracheotomy.
Stidham went into full cardiac arrest. The transfer note says that doctors performed CPR and put her on a ventilator before they called Customs to help get her back to the U.S.
She's never came out of a coma from Mexico.
Stidham's doctors say that she is in a vegetative state with only half of her brain functioning. We reached out to Green and Health Hospital for comment. We were communicating through Facebook and they agreed to an interview, but we were abruptly blocked from their account and have not been able to reach them. Ashley DiMartino, 10 News.
Now, we reached out to Stidham's daughter, who sent us this statement. She said, "My mother is in a vegetative state. She has not talked, walked, or even sat up. The doctors at Scripps Hospital in Chula Vista are saying my mother will never recover. She will be in that state for the rest of her life, all because she wanted to be healthy."
Truly, truly sad. I was looking earlier, I was reading an article earlier about the difference in the price. And it's a drastic difference in the price, having surgery done here in the United States versus when you go overseas. And I think that's what lures a lot of women to go over there, the cheaper price. But then it's like, you look at the risk, the risk is not even worth it.
A local woman dies during plastic surgery in the Dominican Republic, the third such death involving an American in a month.
And now the Dominican Health Ministry is opening an investigation, but a grieving family worries they won't get answers and wonder whether others are at risk. CBS 2's Tony Aiello reports.
Maxine David's phone is filled with pictures of her sister, Alexandra Medina.
Savvy, smart, vibrant, passionate.
But the New Rochelle resident was also unhappy with her appearance. David says U.S. doctors told her sister she needed to lose weight before getting liposuction body reshaping. But a Dominican doctor Medina contacted through Facebook had a different opinion, according to David.
This doctor was like, no problem, we can do it, we can handle it. We've dealt with, bigger women, and so, come here, we'll do it. And it was obviously also cheaper.
Friday, during liposuction at this Santo Domingo clinic, Medina stopped breathing and died. The death certificate blames a fatty tissue embolism or blood clot. Medina is the third American to die in a month undergoing cosmetic surgery in the Dominican Republic. The Dominican health minister says a full review now will take place.
The health minister says an investigation is underway. As that process starts, what are your concerns?
That they're going to get away with it, that they're going to, finagle it to it seeming as if it were accidental, and that we're not going to get justice.
Doctors at the Dominican clinic say there was no malpractice, just a tragic complication. But the CDC warns Americans of risks associated with plastic surgery in the Dominican Republic. So does Manhattan plastic surgeon Dr. Henry Spinelli.
There are reasonable facilities in Europe, South America, etc., but they're usually subject to the same sort of criteria we have here. To indiscriminately choose some place on the basis of finances is a grave mistake.
Women are going over there for these surgeries, these elective surgeries, and not coming out alive.
David says her sister's cheap surgery came at a terrible cost. Tony Aiello, CBS 2 News.
And news media in Santo Domingo report the clinic where Alexandria Medina died had just recently reopened after being closed for, quote, irregularities.
And that's another thing, too. The overseas clinics and hospitals, a lot of them, they don't fall up under the same regulations as the United States. And so that's why they're allowed to do the stuff that they do over there and get away with it. No liability whatsoever. It's like you can go under, never come out, and they're not liable for one thing. That's the scary thing about it. Let's get into our next story.
She was perfect this morning. She was happy. How could she be dead?
Only on 6, a mother with a warning tonight for women who are thinking about having plastic surgery. She says her daughter died for beauty and she doesn't want other families to experience the same pain.
The Miami mother's sharing her story tonight with NBC6 investigator Dan Crowth, who has spent years uncovering complications with one popular procedure.
There's not 1 minute that goes by that I don't think about her.
She went from planning her daughter's birthday 1 week to planning her funeral the next.
She was not just my daughter, she was my best friend.
Yolani Fadez's daughter, Danea, was beautiful.
She was beautiful inside and out.
But after giving birth to her third child, she wasn't happy with her body.
After her third baby, she gained a lot of weight and she just couldn't lose it and couldn't lose it.
She decided to go for a Brazilian butt lift procedure. That's where a doctor performs liposuction to remove fat from unwanted places and uses instruments like this to inject that fat into a patient's backside.
That was the last picture she sent me before she went in.
On May 10th, her daughter texted her right before surgery. She says she got the emergency phone call 2 hours later.
All I remember is falling to the floor. That's the last thing that I remember. I remember I had no strength in my body.
Her daughter died of a fat embolism. That's where a piece of fat gets into a patient's bloodstream and causes them to stop breathing.
I was like, oh my God, my daughter died like that.
The NBC6 investigators found she's one of more than a dozen women who died after undergoing the same procedure in South Florida, different doctors and clinics.
She's in the picture of a dozen or more. This is happening to many girls.
A family friend started this online petition calling for change to help prevent more deaths.
Think about it. If another girl goes through it and passes away, they're not the ones that are going to suffer. The family members are the ones that are going to stay suffering.
Our investigations over the past 4 years help lead to a new law that goes into effect next year, allowing the state to immediately suspend a doctor's license in the case of serious injury or death.
All in favor?
And the Florida Medical Board voted last month to prohibit doctors from inserting fat into a patient's muscle, a way to prevent deaths. Doctors have even issued new recommendations on how the surgery should be performed. But all of these changes going into effect after her daughter's death.
I love you, Dania. I love you, baby girl. Mommy will always be here for you, Mommy.
Our reporting led to a worldwide study that showed a patient is up to 20 times more likely to die from a Brazilian butt lift than any other cosmetic procedure. Doctors tell me there are known risks and side effects, but when done properly, death shouldn't be one of them. Dan Crowth, NBC6 News.
Okay, guys, I have one last story, and we're going to close it out.
A woman who traveled to Mexico for plastic surgery now in a coma, and her family is deciding whether to take her off life support. Adriana Candelaria talked to her family and doctors about the risk of trying to save money on plastic surgery.
Not knowing my wife, she loved to dance, she loved to sing, she was a great cook, she was very active.
A person full of laughter and love is how Laura Avila's family describes her. Laura's husband, Enrique Cruz, says that she had been in communication with Dr. Judith Hernandez at Rhino Center in Ciudad Juarez. She wanted a nose job.
She's perfect, and if getting a nose job would make her feel better of herself, it's cruel to say that she deserved this.
Laura told the doctor that she was a nervous person and she was afraid her blood pressure would go up during the procedure. But the doctor told her not to worry. On October 30th, she went in for surgery.
Right away, they told me that they had some issues with her blood pressure and that they weren't able to do the procedure, but that they were waiting for her to come out of the anesthesia.
Cruz says about 8 hours passed when he was told that she would have to be transported to a Juarez hospital. He says Laura had gone into cardiac arrest.
What they told me was that the anesthesia went to her brain instead of her body.
Receipts provided by Laura's family show that she paid about 2,800 pesos for the nose procedure.
If you're considering getting a procedure done in another country because it's cheaper, please keep in mind that you're getting what you pay for.
A medical professional from Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center says it takes about 16 years to become a plastic surgeon in America. He says the requirements in Mexico take less time than that.
They do fewer years in terms of subspecialty training. The requirements for general surgery are less. It's comparable, but it's not the same.
Dr. Jose Manuel de la Rosa recommends patients always look for board certifications. He says there are some plastic surgeons in Mexico who are registered with the American Board of Plastic Surgeons.
Got to be careful. All right.
Okay, guys, let me know what you think. Leave your remarks and concerns and questions down in the comment section. I'd love to hear from other individuals and get their point of view on this topic. It's very, very interesting. And then for me, this all goes back to self-love for me. Don't get me wrong, because I was looking at every one of those individuals and the stories, and each one of them were beautiful. So I'm like, it's just what society views as beautiful really is what plays into a lot of the decision making when it comes to getting surgeries done to themselves. I feel like this. I'm happy and content with the way God made me. That's just me. Other people may want a nip here, a tuck there, to each his own, but please, ladies, research before you have any kind of surgery done, because in the end, it could cost you your life. All right, guys, I'm going to say my affirmation. Please repeat this and take it with you everywhere you go. I am talented. I am gifted. I am beautiful. I am enough. It's all about self-love. How can you love someone else if you don't love yourself? And in closing, be blessed. Have a great weekend and tune in as I continue to give you the latest in celebrity news and entertainment.